And we as a women sometimes complain about this, complain about that, complain about this, and complain. And do you know how men listen to that? Do you know when you ride in a train, there's a and that's how he.
Female relationship therapist explains why men leave relationships. Women's biggest fear. For today's video, we go back to the Russian relationship therapist, Mrs. Alisa Abdulova. Once again, excuse me if I butchered your name. We really enjoy your content, and the fact that you hold women accountable and give men a fair shake can only be respected. On this channel, we do not hate women. I repeat, we do not hate women. We created this channel for educational purposes, for men. And if women are smart, they will pay attention to channels like this if they want to learn about the male perspective. You can find the link to Mrs. Abdulova's channel in the description. Now it's time for us to get into this and do what we have to do. Because we men, ain't we? We men, ain't we?
They stop hearing you because there's just so much complaints. And for every complaint, we gotta praise. But women feel like, oh, I can just throw up things on my husband. It's his responsibility. And they keep throwing up and keep throwing up. And that's a result. And when a man feels that he is not appreciative, what do you think happens?
He gets discouraged. Doesn't want to make that. Yeah.
Leaves.
Yes.
He will find a place finally where he's heard, where he's acknowledged.
One of the top things that women do that annoy men the most is complaining, mommying, constantly telling them what to do, what not to do, what to wear, what not to wear, like you're incapable of making your own decisions. I've seen grown men leave the house to stay in a hotel or with a friend because they couldn't handle it anymore. Women can be ruthless when it comes to complaining and not letting you talk. Communication is key, and relationships are about balance. It's obviously easier to complain than to give praise. When we ask women, what do you bring to the table? Praise is one of those essential things. Listening. Being a good listener is also essential. I do not condone cheating, but I've talked to men that cheated on their girlfriends, with women that did not come close to the physical attractiveness of their girlfriends. Why? Because they were not heard. The other woman was listening and catered to his ego. With her, he did not feel shackled, even though most of them still loved their girlfriends after they committed adultery.
Because man wants to feel like a hero. And a lot of times also women complain. He doesn't buy me flowers. He doesn't take me to vacation. He doesn't want to buy me gifts. And then he doesn't buy me flowers. He doesn't buy me flowers. He doesn't buy me flowers. He doesn't even hear flowers. He's like, da, 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 da. It's like when you go to the airplane and you hear, flight 1924 boarding, flight 1924 boarding, flight 1924 boarding. I want flowers. I want flowers. You don't buy me flowers. You don't buy me flowers. That's how they start to hear us. You know, they don't even hear.
She points out that men want to feel like a hero. We want to be appreciated for who we are and what we provide. When I did my research about relationships in a particular scene, I remember talking to this lady who felt men should take her to dinner dates instead of coffee dates. The man has to pay for it, of course, and like many women say today, he asked me out. So my question was, what does the man get for taking you on a dinner date instead of a coffee date? Which in my opinion is a better option for a first date. The first time you get to spend some time together and get to know each other before you take things to the next level and splash money on her. It's awkward to have a 5-course meal with someone you don't connect with, but you will have to pay for it. She couldn't give me an answer that would convince me that taking her on a dinner date would have greater benefits than a coffee date for me as a man. She would say, it's impressive, then you're a gentleman. That's what a real man does. I told her, men talk. A lot of guys took women on expensive dinner dates to impress them, and they never got their calls returned, i.e. ghosted. There are women that made a career out of going on dinner dates with their Tinder matches. They never had to pay for a meal in their lives. Let me know you're worth spending money on, so at least I can feel like I got my money's worth after the date. In other words, this date is not all about you. It's about me too. And when you're grumbling, you don't consider me. That's why I only hear meow, 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 meow.
Because we are not acknowledging them. Everything that you want and you expecting, maybe not even asking. When you have the expectations, they already feel that, because when you have expectations, you don't know how to acknowledge. You take things for granted. He took you to the restaurant, he bought you this beautiful meal, but in your head, why we are in this Applebee's, I want to be in Ritz-Carlton. And so your attitude is like, thank you. And that crucifies them, because nothing is good enough. And when nothing is good enough, he loses motivation.
Motivation, inspiration. Once again, when we ask women, what do you bring to the table, i.e., what do you bring to the relationship, we're talking about being an inspiration. Can you inspire me? Can you motivate me to be the man that you want me to be? We are the gatekeepers of relationships. If women want to be in a relationship, if women want to get married, they will have to inspire us, motivate us to want relationships, to want marriage. And women are doing a terrible job motivating us to propose to them. These unrealistic expectations they have is for the sisterhood, fellas. She can't brag about going to Burger King. Women share everything with their friends, and in modern society, they flex for the gram. So you're not going on a date to get to know me. You're not going on a date to spend time with me. You're going on a date for Instagram and for the sisterhood. And you're complaining because your prop was not operating properly. These are the types of things that women will not tell you when they complain about their boyfriends. She will tell you what she feels that you need to know. And that's why when I was doing my research, I kept asking them specific questions to completely understand the situation. And the more they kept talking, they would always tell on themselves eventually.
And women, we are the motivation to them. They do everything, by the way. They work, they pay for bills, they pay for mortgage, for cars, for us.
Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Society told us to look for female validation. Happy wife, happy life. It's expected that we have it all. It's expected that we have our ish together before we even talk to a female. Being a good person, being a good man was rewarded with female validation. So it was motivating to be a good man. What do you think would happen if women did not want thugs? Remember this?
And we were reading this article by a black female PhD who was saying, ladies, get yourself a thug. They are so thrilling. You have no idea. Raw masculinity, but you can control it because you're paying the check.
Oh, yeah.
And I do all these local radio appearances or remote or direct. And they say, this is Bobby on WFOOL. This is Take Care of Your Thug Week. Call Bobby and let Bobby know if you got a thug at home. All right, we got Tamika on the line. You got you a thug, Tamika? Yeah, Bobby, I got me a thug. He's so fine.
Lord,
yeah.
When women reward bad behavior or immoral behavior, like the 41-year-old Jigglypuff that was sleeping with every guy she matched with on Tinder, racking up her body count to a minimum of 30 guys in a year, to turn around the next year demanding men to take her on dates without sex because now she's ready for a relationship again. Why would you spend your time, money, and energy on a woman like that? Why would you strive to be a high-value man, commit, and share your resources with a woman that gives herself to any man that just happens to be in the neighborhood or exhibits immoral behavior? You want dinner dates, but you've been giving it up without a date. What makes you so special? Why should I do all of these things for you? Mrs. Abdulava has an interesting video about women's biggest fear. No disrespect for Mrs. Abdulava because the title of the video says women only. But those are exactly the videos we're gonna watch because we made this channel for educational purposes. We educate you on female nature and, of course, the impact that society has on the dynamic between men and women.
And so, ladies, the biggest fear that you have is to ask straight up your guy if he wants to marry you. Yeah, ladies, this is the biggest fear that you are suppressing and waiting for 6 months, a year, 2, 3. I know some women that are waiting for even 7 years for a guy to pop a question.
The fear of rejection, like I've said before, men are the gatekeepers of relationships. Women want to get married, but we have to ask them. With all of these modern, strong, and independent women we have today, it's traditional things like marriage and paying for dates that they still expect from us men. And it's disrespectful, because if you want a traditional man, then you should be a traditional woman. When I spoke to women for my research, many of them had no clue where all of these traditions came from, but they still feel entitled to these traditions.
Because you ladies are afraid that if you'll ask, do you want to marry me? The guy will tell you that no, I don't want to get married. And you're afraid that he'll tell you, I love you, I'm happy with you, but I just don't want to marry you and have children with you. And ladies, that's a problem.
The question is, why would I say yes? What are the benefits? What are my benefits? Women love to pick and choose what benefits them. They have options that we don't have as men. They can choose to go to work. They can choose to have children and be a housewife. They can choose to work part-time. Men are still expected to provide. So why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Marriage is for women. It only benefits them. And over 50% of marriages ending in divorce and 70 to 80% of divorces initiated by women. Getting married in modern times is foolishness.
Because you could be wasting 6 months, a year, 2, 3 years on a guy who loves you, who is happy with you, but who is not interested to take responsibility over you.
This is an interesting point that Mrs. Abdullah makes, because when we go back in time, people would marry at a young age. People would have children at a young age, and one of the reasons why is because everything was clear. We had defined roles. There was a common purpose. Society changed, and the mentality of the people changed with it, leading to a lot of confusion. This responsibility, what is that? What does marriage add to the relationship that we already have?
And you're afraid that if you'll tell him that, the relationship will end. Because in a guy's head, he's probably thinking that he can meet someone prettier, someone younger, someone better suited to him. But don't you want to know that early on?
Of course, this depends on the guy, because it's only 10-20% of men that have access to consistent punani. But I agree that your intentions should be made clear beforehand, especially women, because they have a short window of opportunity.
Again, we're talking about years. I see so many women who've been again waiting for 3, 4, and even sometimes 7 years. And that's fundamentally is so wrong on so many levels, because you ladies know that we have time. The time is ticking, right? We cannot have children when we're 40 or 50 years old. Of course, now with medical advancement, anything is possible. But again, this is something that you gotta overcome, face and ask him. And don't be afraid that a guy will run away.
Women need to hear this from the get-go. They should teach this in school. We did a video about 40-year-old women feeling invisible because for a big portion of their lives, they would be at the center of attention, the star of the party. And now that the party is over, they are not ready for the next 40 years. A woman's prime time is when she is young. She is the most attractive to a man in her younger years. That's the best time for her to get a man.
But I will tell you the reason why you're afraid. Because probably 9 out of 10, a guy doesn't want to marry you. And so I'm just inviting you to be straight about that. There's nothing to be afraid of it. But it's also important to know on which stage to ask this question, because relationship has 6 stages. If you ask him that on the first stage, you're gonna scare him away. And so you need to know the 6 stages of the relationship and the development of the relationship.
Marriage is definitely on the decline. People get married for the wrong reasons. I've talked to women, and the first thing that comes to mind is that wedding day. They want to wear that dress, and the proposal is a big part of that experience. There was a woman that rejected her boyfriend's proposal because he didn't go down on one knee. Now she's complaining because he won't propose again, and she won't propose to him. In my opinion, women's biggest fears are rejection and accountability. Thank you, Mrs. Abdulafar, for the content. Keep up the good work. You can find the link to her channel in the description. Manosphere, we working. Protect yourself at all times. This video has officially been highlighted.